It's good. Whoo boy, I forgot how addictive the PlayStation 2 is. Welcome back, friends. I hope you're having a lovely quarantine this fine day. This time out, I decided to focus on one issue of that Top Cow favorite, Witchblade. This is one of those rare comics that I had the foresight to buy issue number 1 of, and continued to hold on to it throughout the years, for no reason other than the fact that I knew it would become a big thing down the road. No other reason whatsoever. Fair warning, this review is going to be an exercise in utter bullshittery, and me seeing if I can BS my way through a comic that gives you barely anything to latch onto. So, let's get into it. Here are the responsible parties this time. Good God, that's a lot of people. That certainly would lighten the workload, but good grief. Created by, co-plot, script, pencils, and co-plot, inks, color, computer colors, letters, editor, associate editor, ink assist, design, production, writing assist, Jeebus. I'm starting to think that all Marc Silvestri really did to create this character is say, hey, what if I took the S off the word Switchblade? I can't keep track anymore. Is Marc Silvestri one of those pros that constantly takes to the internet to call people bigots, racists, sexist, or phobes? Let's operate under the assumption that he isn't, and he genuinely appreciates people that love his comics. Moving on! Enter the bad guy. That was quick. Entrepreneur Kenneth Irons, head of Irons International, an all-around charitable swell guy that also dabbles in drug trafficking, prostitution, slavery, and weapons production. As we enter a gallery dedicated to godlike looking women, we learn that despite being voted most eligible bachelor by magazines, that Kenny has only one true love in his life, one that is not reciprocated, as we get a shot of a mysterious pedestal with a red covering on it. Elsewhere, Sarah Pezzini is getting dolled up in her trashiest outfit, reminiscing about how she knew her entire life she was going to be a cop, because she was a huge Starsky and Hutch fan. You can draw the parallels between her dress and the car yourself. Whoop! Someone's a Tarantino fan! She's basically going rogue and working undercover to nail a guy that killed an old friend of hers.
Starsky never had to do this to make a bust.
Ah, visual gag. Somebody really likes the movie True Romance, and Tarantino, as a fellow that looks nothing like Gary Oldman named Drexler, lets Sarah into this apartment. She meets the guy she's trying to bust, offering to sell him a lot of drugs. He says he didn't become as big a big shot as he has by trusting any dame in a dress, and says that he has a rat problem, and that she has to take care of it. What? I don't get it. He just met this chick and he decided she needed to be the one to kill someone for him? You know, I had to zoom way the F in to see the glasses in the frame, and I only just now realize he's pointing a gun at Sarah. Looking very Lara Croft here, she more or less agrees, but instead of shooting this guy, she pistol whips him into unconsciousness instead. This dude is impressed. Suddenly, he recognizes her. All hell breaks loose as Sarah springs into a sidekick. Let me take a brief pause here to say, it really is a shame there were never any strong female characters in the world before the year 2016. Thank goodness that we eventually got over our biases and finally let women in on the action. It really is a breath of fresh air. I'm so glad that the internet hasn't made us all a giant mass of drooling morons that just can't recall a time when women were action stars. I'm so glad that with the power of the internet and the vast history of mankind, we don't just choose not to research anything before we open our big dumb idiot mouths and spout unforgivable lies as absolute truth. Thank you. Just needed to get that off my chest. Sarah leapfrogs over a goon in a ridiculous but hot way, shooting out his knee on the way past. She lands gracefully and bashes the other guy's head into a pizza box. This is really wonderful art. This is one of the types of art that I used to be in awe of as a kid. This character looks beautiful, and the way they handled the hair was great. Anyway, the police kick in the door and the party's over. Meanwhile, at the Rialto Theater, crime bosses and ne'er-do-wells from across the city gather for a special competition, put on by our old friend Kenneth Irons. Special Winter Lingerie Edition! That's hard to say. I actually have a couple of the summer swimsuit issues from Wildstorm, I think it was, and the lingerie Lady Death from back in the day. I thought about doing a review on it, but I'm not really sure what I could comment on about it. It'd probably just end up being a clip show of shots of scantily clad superhero men and women. I'm confused by this. Does this mean Silvestri drew it and Smith colored it? Headquarters, stereotypical scream boss. Headquarters, stereotypical scream boss cop is reading Sarah the Riot Act in front of... This is really hard to get out. Headquarters, stereotypical scream boss cop is reading Sarah the Riot Act in front of everyone else in the office, which seems like poor management skills to me. He gives her crap about dressing like a slut and she denies liking it, which we all know from her love of Starsky and Hutch is probably BS. This dude, who you'll find out in later issues is named Jake, says she looks hot regardless and then awkwardly leaves the room. We're introduced to Selzer, part of Internal Affairs, and later someone who turns out to have a bigger role and I won't spoil it. He's handled really badly in this series from what I read. She says this is as close to smiling as you'll ever see him, and there are several issues where he's smiling and making rude suggestions and comments about Sarah to other cops. Michael Yee enters the room, rubbing his head. Apparently he's the one Sarah pistol whipped at the drug bust. I didn't really catch that at first. They go in to question the Tarantino ripoff, and Sarah plays bad cop when they're interrupted by reassignment. Back at the Rialto, Kenny is conversing with his assistant, Ian... I'll get back to you, I forget his name. Oh, Nottington. Ian Nottington. About dinner with the Husseins and how the person he's looking for is going to reveal themselves tonight. Cyberforce! I'm calling it Greenwich. Where do people come up with these pronunciations sometimes? Sarah and Michael report to a crime scene where a woman has apparently been microwaved from the inside out. It's the start of a serial killing that will have no clear endpoint in the 8 issues that I read. 7:33 p.m. Following a lead given to them by the Tarantino reject, Sarah and Michael head to the Rialto, the goon previously saying he needed big bucks as an entry fee for the event. At the Rialto, Sarah tells Michael to stay in the car and slips into line with a wealthy Texan before leaving him high and dry.
Hey, Sam Tab. This little lady's my party escort.
On stage, Nottingham introduces the main event, the Witchblade. The competition is basically one at a time. Walk up and stick your arm in it and hope it doesn't explode into nothingness. Kenneth notices a finger twitch and realizes the Witchblade's new owner is in the room. Not this guy! Nottingham makes a joke at his expense and introduces the special entertainment. Michael, idiot, they couldn't just stay in the car. The goons of the room take aim and fire as Sarah dashes across the stage, taking several shots, trying to shield her dumb partner, knocking over the Witchblade in the process. Life is fading as she tries to reach for a weapon when something screwy starts happening. Witchy, metally tendrils reach out, grabbing her hand.
There's too much left to fight for. I haven't been a hero yet.
That's a little weird, isn't she a cop? She hasn't been a hero yet?
I need more time. I need to fight. I'm alive. And kicking.
More boisterous, faster, more intense, more boisterous, louder.
Starting with I'm alive?
Just and kicking.
Oh. And kicking.
And louder.
And kicking.
Louder.
And kicking!
There you go.
Jeez.
That's what I wanted.
Directors.
Kenny is ecstatic as he flees. Sarah burns every thug and crime boss in the room down.
I'm the light. I'm an angel of death. I'm power. This is freedom.
But no strong characters before 2016. With that being said, Michael dies. I assumed he was consumed by the hellfire swirling around the room as well, but I guess he was just shot enough times. And now she's scared. Witchblade 2! Hey, Billy Tucci. 21? This guy looks cool. I think I've seen him around. If there are obscure comic characters on my radar, he's one of the most, obscuriest. I used to really like the design of Savage Dragon. Too bad that guy started acting like an idiot. Weapon Zero! I have no idea. Hey, 1995. Back cover art and the end. Not a lot of information, right? The saga begins, that's for sure. This felt like a preview issue of a coming soon comic series. So in an attempt to get more information, I turned to the trade paperback, which collects the first 8 issues. Surely there must be more information, and we'll get a better understanding of what the Witchblade is and where it comes from. Yeah. Also, this is horse. Years from now, all of these pages are gonna fall out. Cheap spine glues. So, trying not to spoil the rest of it, here are some of the things that I don't like or get after reading 8 issues of this comic series. What the Witchblade is and where it comes from, or even a rundown of its powers. All we're told is that women throughout history have wielded it. The 12-year-old daughter of the friend that was murdered by that goon in the beginning wants to be a fashion model, and gets in, but ends up going to a house of sin. That felt tacked on and doesn't resolve in 8 issues. She's still there when I was done with the book. Who is the microwave murderer? I think they tried to wrap it up and tack it onto the main plot, but it was a hatchet job. Apparently it had something to do with irons and Nottingham, but it's really vague. Anyway, I was forced to turn to Wikipedia to get some bare minimum facts here. The Witchblade is a sentient gauntlet. That's cool. The son of Darkness and Angelus. Possesses humans, typically women, as hosts. Heck yeah. And Darkness and Angelus are primordial forces. Okay. I feel like that should have showed up somewhere in the 8 issues. I like the universe, but the pacing felt bogged down or convoluted. She keeps getting chased down by Fabio here, and he always lets her go or is stopped. and she's powerless against him. He's able to easily put her down every time. It felt like the comic needed to be exactly 8 issues and they went in circles. The story is there, but either I just wasn't getting it or it wasn't executed as well as it could have been. It needed another draft and maybe another co-writer, co-plotter. The basic plot is Whitehair is trying to woo Sarah in some kind of attempt to make her a weaker person so that he can then break her down emotionally. So she's no longer worthy of the weapon and it will go to him. I like Witchblade from what I know of it, and she looks awesome, and her popularity is definitely not hurt by seeing a hot chick wrapped in metal and torn clothing. Yay, the 90s! Anyway, I would have to rate it as a solid middle, with real potential for growth. That's it. Out of curiosity, I looked up how many issues there were of this series and nearly passed out when I saw the number 500. It was just the one issue, but to be sure, this universe was huge to people and definitely had legs into the future. If there's anything I could take away from this comic to apply to my own comic, it is just to make sure that you have the story coherently plotted out long before you ever get to printing. Also, spell check. You should start at he.
Okay.
And then go to...
Are you recording?
Yeah.
Oh, where is it?
It's hidden. It's hidden. It's another window.
Oh. Okay.
Alright.
He may have been able to take on the Witchblade, but this time I'm better prepaid. Jake, you're gonna skip half your investigation is you stick within the black and white realm.
Okay, thanks.
What's that even supposed to say?
If you stick within the black and white realm.
Okay.
I'm reading the trade and all I see are typos. And I'm like, not only did it go to print, but it got reprinted in a thick book.
Ew. That's not good.
Savages. Bonus! And just because I like you guys, here's a quick figure review for you and yet another demonstration of why I need a miniature Lazy Susan. It took me 4 tries to get this figure. Every time I ordered it, the anuses... would send me the wrong figure. I got Medieval Witchblade, Golden Witchblade, I think Scarlet Medieval Witchblade. I just went basic Witchblade! Jeez. It's our old pal Claiborne Moore doing the sculpt on this figure once again, handling seemingly all the semi-independent characters of the 90s. For accessories, Sarah Pazzini comes with a stand and a, Witchblade? Oh, looks cool. She has swivel arms that go up and down in the V-cut pelvis, which should not be viewed by anyone younger than 13. Her head can move, but with that hair, as is always the problem with female figures, you're not gonna get a lot of range. The Witchblade weapon has a peg and a recess, which allows you to fit this inappropriate hand sculpt into it snugly. And that's it. But while we're here, we might as well look at the Medieval Witchblade I got stuck with while trying to get the first figure, which in hindsight I actually really like. She's got a base to stand on, a detachable cape, a pike with a blade, an axe, and a crazy sword. She also has swivel arms and the inappropriate V-cut legs and hand sculpt. Whoa! Check out that armor! That's pretty cool. It looks like some kind of Geiger-esque influence going on there. She has a swivel left, right, and head with a nice ponytail that gives more movement than the previous figure. All the figures that I've seen Claiborne Moore do are pretty much the same overall. There are some differences from figure to figure, but for a long time I thought he was just using the same body base and sculpting around it. They still all seem to have the same basic pose though, like this Lady Death figure. They're pretty basic as far as action figures go, but the sculpts are wonderful, and they look pretty awesome all standing there together. So that's it, finally! This was a rough one to get through. I don't know if quarantine is just killing my motivation lately, or if I just didn't feel like I had much to work with in this issue. Regardless, I want to thank my beautiful wife for filling in a couple of lines of dialogue for me again. Thank you for recording. How's your quarantine going?
Fine.
Alright, great.
Lazy.
Great talk.
No job.
Oh, well that's good.
But I get to go back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a relief.
Hooray!
Yeah.
Alright, well thank you for recording.
You're welcome.
Okay, kiss me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll be back as soon as I can for the next entry. If you wouldn't mind, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.